you'll note that I'm logging in on a different character. This is actually my probing character. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, I don't think, but in any case, that's that. In case you hear typing, that'll be my brother over sitting about 6 feet away from me on his computer. Don't worry about that. Alright, first thing you see, I've got a funny way of doing the windows. Alright, I've already probed out a lot of this stuff in here. As you can see, there's all sorts of bookmarks, okay? And we live in W space, as you might notice. And what I've got is I've got bookmarks and bookmarks and bookmarks of things that have been scanned down multiple times. For example, here's a wormhole that was scanned down twice. Here's something that's scanned down 3 times. You'll note that I put the date and the scan ID on the object that I've scanned. And it's actually kind of annoying that the scan ID changes after downtime. But in any case, let's go ahead and drop our probes. Alright, let's go ahead and open this up, start probing. I don't usually open up a frame rate counter, but just for comparison. This is the first time I've used fraps in forever. So, this right here. First thing I do, everything is on a 4 AU radius. That's annoying, by the way, having to resize that every time the window comes out. But first thing I do is I take a probe and I put as many probes on the center of a planet as possible at 4 AUs. The reason for that is because it is my understanding that the sites will spawn no more than 4 AUs from a celestial object. So what I do, put the probes next to a celestial object. And if I've got extra probes, I'll try and cover extra space that I haven't put. For example, there's a lot of space right here because there's an object there. Alright, that's all I said. Let's go ahead and see what we get. And hopefully the results from earlier today don't still show up as 100%, because that'll be disappointing. Alright, this is easy enough. First thing I'm doing is I'm looking for a wormhole, right? So let's get rid of all this crap here. Alright, now, let's say, for example, that I want to find out what all that crap is. And let's say, for example, that I don't have all of these bookmarks here. So for the whole duration of this, pretend I don't have bookmarks. Alrighty? Alrighty. Now, what am I going to do? Well, first, you see right here how there's only one circle here, here, but there's all these little dots here. I'm going to probe out right here, very last. And, whoops, see, I've already done it once. I meant to scroll, and instead I did the left click to turn that, and I ended up clicking to resize. So that's already once. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'll come back to that one, because that, you can see, you know, the red sphere is relatively within it. I can move the probe a fair amount. Same for here. And here. Okay, so I've already picked out 4 probes that I'm going to use to scan down these things over here. Next thing I'm going to do is, again, let's pretend that we don't see these bookmarks that shows exactly where those sites are at. So, first thing we do is we find out, let's see, probe 2, 6, 5, and 8. So, 2, 6, 5, and 8. And we reduce these scan first. Make sure we see if we can get anything better. Alright, moving this around so I can see better. Let that do its thing. Alright, we got us a couple of hits. We got a sight right here. We got this big round thing. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go for the sight first. So drop the range down to 2 AUs. Alright, first thing we do is we move the probes up. Whoop, we've already done something wrong. Meant to move the probes up and not recenter. Whoops, like that. Not recenter the view. Move the probes up onto the same, what is it, Z plane, Y plane? Move it onto the same Y plane. And then move this up, rotate it, and move the probes to, so that it's all, whoops. Yeah, that works, okay. No, that didn't work. Whoops. See, and I did it again. What I wanted to do was I actually wanted to rotate the screen so that I could fix this. Now zoom back in, rotate the screen again, and come back and move the probe. Move the probe. Okay, and probe again. And you see, we've already accidentally resized the probes twice in this. We've only been scanning for a minute. Isn't that annoying? Okay, so back to here. It's now yellow. Let's drop it down to 1 AU. Move the probe center-ish. Make sure they're all on the same Y plane. And probe. You see, I rotate the camera around, pan the camera around, however you want to call it, a lot, so that I can see exactly where it's at. For example, if I'm looking right here, and it looks to me like, you know, this thing is right here, when in fact it could actually be like way up here. And so what I'd do is I'd like just leave all the probes there and drop it down a size. Okay? Okay, you see how most of them are like that? You know, most of them are already in it. Rotate up and suddenly it's all the way up here. Okay, so you'd have to move them again. And so let's say, for example, we want to move this one first. And we click right here. Okay, you see right here how it kind of wants to not click on it? And you click right there and it moves up. Okay, well that's sort of an issue. Okay, but in any case, let's go ahead and get rid of this because we're not interested in LiDAR. Okay, so let's drop this back out to 2 AUs because that's where those red circles were at, indicating that we've got hits. Spread the probes out so they don't interfere with each other. Okay, and again, I'm ignoring the bookmarks, as you can see, because not all the probes are in the bookmarks. But anyways, let this finish. What do we got? We got something here, and oh, this looks relatively easy. How can we do this? Let's move this probe over here, and move this one. You see, so look at that. I'm trying to move this probe, and I'm not trying to resize the other probe. If I was to click right there, you see how it resized it? That would have been the third time, but unfortunately for us, I caught it. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and scan this down. It's probably going to give us another double cycle or whatever that is, a double hit. Lucky if it's not. Okay? Okay, we're lucky. Let's go ahead and drop this down to 1 AU. Move it up, up to the same correct Z or Y plane. Okay, and then make sure that they're all in the same. They all find where it's at. Probe it out. Zoom in a little bit. Again, I'm ignoring the bookmark. What do we got? We got, oh, that's a really close. Well, what did I try? I tried to rotate the camera, pan the camera, however you want to do it, and instead it clicked on the text right here to center the camera on the probe, which is annoying. Okay, you see right there? You got to hit here and you got to hit here. So it's very close together, so it's got to be this thing. It's got to be moved over. Simple enough. Found a gravimetric. We're not interested in gravimetric. We're interested in wormholes. So drop this back out to 4 AUs. Make sure they're not interfering with each other. And let's find that last thing that was over here. Yeah. Interesting how my frame rate dropped down to 30 during that. And it's been maintaining 60. Okay. That's a really good result. We got 2 hits right off the bat. Let's move this over. Move this over. We could probably drop it down to 2 AUs. By the looks. Oh, look. We need to move this back up to the correct Z plane, or Y plane, or however you want to call it. I don't know. I'm no mathematician. And yeah, we can drop it down to 1 AU probably. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, yeah, that's got both of them. I would probably have both of them. That probably. It might be a little close. They might be interfering on each other, but you know what? Let's give it a whirl. Let that do its thing. Interesting how we're back up to 60 frames per second, and we're not interested in gravimetrics. Click. You see, and what's something else that bugs me is you saw how it finished here, finished scanning, and it selected like not all of these, but not none of them either. And so my first instinct is, let's say it was like that. I want to get rid of this result. So what I go over here is I click ignore result. What that's going to happen, what that's going to cause me to do is that's going to cause me to ignore these other selected results. So I have to actually click here first and click ignore result. Which, you know, you should do that in the first place. Unfortunately, not everybody does. And it's if something's already selected, if the object that you want to ignore is already selected, you know, your first instinct is go over there and ignore it. But unfortunately, you're not paying attention. You've got other things that need to be unchecked. So let's go back. We're done here. Let's go over. Let's pick up some of this other junk in here. Now, let's say that we've already finished up scanning for the crap over here and here and here, and we want to tone down some of the junk over here. What we want to do, we want to move these over here. All right. Here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do. Zoom in. We're going to select all of these and look for the easiest thing. That is to say, for example, we've got 2 objects here that are very close together. Okay, so what we can do to find out, you know, what those are, immediately drop these down to something lowish. That looks kind of small. Probably go to 1 AU. Rotate this around. Put our probes in position. And then make sure it's on the same Y plane, which they're not, of course. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. And then let's go ahead and make it so it's easier to connect the mouse to up and down arrows. So rotate around. No, that's even worse. Oops. I accidentally resized it. Okay, let's try this again. Rotate around. Okay, now we can move them down. Alright, because they're really big up and down arrows. Drop these down to the same Y plane. And then rotate the camera, pan the camera, however you want to call it. Move them into position. Make sure they're not too close. And hit scan. That way we can find out what this is, see if we want to get rid of it, or bookmark it, or whatnot.